Hey everybody, welcome back to D-Town TV, the free show for DSLR shooters. I'm here with Larry Becker.
Hey, RC.
And I'm RC. Now, I wanted to kind of start off with Larry because you're actually taking the tip to kick it off this week.
Yep,
I've
got a tip on something pretty common. You know, we talk about these all the time. They're 5-in-1 reflectors, and different sizes are pretty common. 32, 42. I think this one's a 32. But I want to show you a couple cool things about a 5-in-1 reflector, and then I want to tell you something that I learned when I was watching a class on Kelby Training Online. Okay, so 5-in-1 reflector, essentially, it's got 5 different surfaces. It's got a silver on this side, and it's got a black on this side, and if you unzip, then inside, you can see that it's got gold, it's got a white surface, and you can turn this sleeve inside out, and then get a full solid white surface or a full solid gold surface. And then this is a scrim, so semi-translucent. You can kind of get shade on somebody like that. But the thing that I wanted to point out, 2 things about these 5-in-1s. They are not all these same colors. There are different variations of colors available on 5-in-1s. I recommend getting one that has black as one of the 5 for subtractive lighting. Now, I'm not going to go into that now, but there was this class that I was watching from James Schmelzer on Kelby Training Online. He's one of my favorite trainers when it comes to light and lighting in various situations. And one of the things that I learned, and this just makes sense, where do we think light comes from normally? Where do we naturally see light coming from? And the answer is almost always from above. And so real quick, I kind of cornered Corey yesterday, and I had him go back into the studio, and this is absolutely a terrible shot, but I want you to look at this picture of Corey. Now, this one I shot with a light coming from below, and it is not a good light on Corey. It's not a good picture overall. I didn't adjust for the background light or anything. I just wanted to get the main light coming from below so you could see what it looks like, and then the exact same scenario, the exact same scene, but the light coming from above. So here they are side by side, and you can see the one where the light comes from below, it's got a spooky look to it. It's very unnatural. They call this gore lighting. It's from the old scary movies and the vampire and Dracula movies. So here's the tip. What James Schmelzer teaches is, he says, have your assistants don't do what you see everybody doing outside, which is holding the reflector like this and then catching the sun and bouncing it back into somebody's face. Have your assistant do this. Hold it as high as they possibly can, and then get the sun to line up with wherever your model's face is. That's the whole tip. Get your light source high, and that way you're actually creating the right kind of light on your victim's face.
Yeah, when you see a lot of that, like underlighting,
right?
When you see most of that stuff, the gore lighting is interesting. Like if you want to be able to kind of see how that applies in a real world scenario or where it's been used and misused, think Jill Greenberg, right? If you go, Jill Greenberg has a website called manipulator.org, or manipulator.com. And she had done this picture of, I want to say, not Dick Cheney, it was another politician that she had done. And she took this picture of him, and, oh, McCain, that's who it was. It was the Jill Greenberg McCain picture. And she did this portrait, and then she underlit him.
And he looked evil.
And it looked evil.
I mean, more than normal.
And there was a kind of there was a big speculation. And basically what happened was, when you're shooting somebody, when you're taking a picture of somebody, there's a certain responsibility that you have when you're shooting that kind of light. And I think that that's one of those things that when you know that there's a difference, when you know that there's an underlight that comes up and you're going to shoot somebody like that, that's going to give that kind of connotation. And in this case, it was intentional. But it's something that you really have to just consider when you're working with it. So I think it's a phenomenal tip that keeps expanding itself. Not only do you need to know how to be able to do it, but you should know where to apply it.
Exactly. I learned about that. In fact, the reflector outdoors. I mean, I kind of knew about underlighting and top lighting, but I learned about the reflector outdoors from James Schmelzer. Got a great class. Actually, he has 3 classes, and it's all about supposedly senior high school portrait lighting. But it's really about lighting. It doesn't matter if you're taking pictures of senior high people or not. You know, we got to run to a break right now. We will be right back after this word.
All right, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, a little bit closer. Okay, that's it. Work a little bit to the side. Yep, there we go. That's it. Hold it. Time for a close-up. Brad, need tuner F2. Can I get that hair adjusted, please? All right, the hair's looking good, looking good. All right. That's it. Work the hair, work the hair. Come on. That's it. Give it to me. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, work the hair. That, oh, look at the eye. Give me that, oh, there you go. Beautiful. Excellent. Hold that pose. There we go. Beautiful.
Welcome back, everybody. You got a chance to spend some time with one of our favorite photographers and just a guru,
Absolutely love
Jay
him.
Maisel.
Absolutely love
Check
him.
this out.
Now, it's a great honor for me to be able to have famed New York photographer, Mr. Jay Maisel here. Jay, good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Now, if you don't know, Jay's very, very prolific at shooting out in the city, in New York City. So I thought it'd be really, really cool for us to kind of get together and give a little bit of pearls of wisdom, some tips, some tricks, some ideas on what kinds of things you should keep in mind when you're out and you're shooting in a scene. What kinds of things do you think about? What kinds of things do you look for?
What I think about is survival.
Survival.
Yeah.
I
I want to make sure I come out of this thing alive, because shooting in the street is kind of iffy. And so I try to make sure that I don't ruin anybody's day when I'm out there. I want to make it a better day for them. I don't want to screw up their day and make them unhappy.
Okay.
That's the first thing.
Okay, that's good to be able to know. And it's like a lot of the times I think that people, when you're going out and you're trying to be able to shoot, if you're really, really over anxious about going in and go out there, sometimes you don't tend to remember that what you're doing really does affect somebody else.
What they do is they're afraid of offending somebody, and so they don't go out and shoot. And what I have to do instead is go out there and make sure that they have respect for whoever they're shooting and treat them in a respectful way, so that at the end of the day, you have not made a day worse for these people, but you made it better. That's not always possible, but that's what I aim for.
Nice. Okay. Now, is there anything that you do? Is it more something that you would do, like personally, like on a demeanor standpoint, or is it something about maybe like on a space standpoint? Do you deal with it technologically, or do you deal with it as yourself, as an individual?
There's a lot of ways. There's always a lot of ways to answer those kind of questions. One of the things is you can be a sniper. You can shoot from far away. Another way is to work very close. If you're a sniper, your big aim is to make sure nobody sees you. If they do see you, what do? Hopefully you'll smile and say hello and thank you. I appreciate you letting me photograph you. And if you're working close, you may have to really start relating to that person. There is no one way. I had students take pictures that I could never get because they decided what they were going to do was establish a relationship with somebody in front of them. I'm not looking to make friends, I'm looking to make pictures. But they get things that I can't get because they're more forthcoming with their time and their personality.
Nice. And you brought up actually a couple of interesting things that I do want to be able to know. Two things. Jay is going to actually be with us, and he's going to be sharing a couple of different types of stories and things that you should be able to consider. But it's important to be able to note that there's two things that are at play here. One, Jay's an instructor at Kelby Training. So you have two classes. You have a day with Jay Maisel, and then you just finished doing another class called Another Day with Jay Maisel. And it was kind of just a talk between us, and you and Scott just kind of walked around and just talked.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that, but there's also stuff that you do at the bank building, which is one of the things that's my favorite. Tell me about the classes that you're doing at the bank.
Well, the classes I do at the bank are very small classes. Like they're exactly the opposite of the 900 people classes. It's limited to 10 people.
Okay.
And it's like a boot camp. It starts at 8:30 in the morning. It goes till 10 at night. It goes for 5 days. And when they finish, we give them a T-shirt that says, "I survived."
That's awesome. Now, for more information on all of this kind of stuff, we'll go ahead and put up Jay's website here, but it's important. Take a look at that kind of stuff. This is really like the next level when you're thinking about how to be able to take images. Jay, it was an absolute blast having you on.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Okay.
You know, you always pick up something from Jay.
He's the absolute master of that
You know,
stuff.
the first place I ever met him was at Photoshop World, and he teaches classes for us at Photoshop World. I've seen him there every single time, and every time you learn something new from the guy. And speaking of Photoshop World, just less than a month away, in fact, Friday, August 5th, is the end of the early bird special to save $100. And in this economy, who can't afford to?
There is an impressive list of people that are going to be at photoshopworld.com. Take a look at this. I'm going to just go here, and I'm going to go over.
This is the Vegas
one.
Yeah.
So we have Joel Grimes,
Great guy.
Like, if you've seen the Photoshop World stuff,
This is his first time at
go-
Photoshop World.
First time at Photoshop World. So I'm going to point out people that normally you wouldn't have seen at Photoshop World that you got to go see, right? Take a look. Joel Grimes, going to be there. Jeremy Coward,
Yeah.
Dave Black, Frank Dorhoff, phenomenal class. He's always got wonderful, wonderful classes.
And you know what's interesting? RC is explaining these great photographers and great instructors, and these are folks that are fairly new to the Photoshop World fold. But a lot of people have never been to Photoshop World, and you guys are going to be just as excited as we are. RC's going to be there. Scott's teaching classes there.
Vincent Laforet.
Just an incredible crowd. You will never get this kind of photographic and Photoshop talent together.
And there's still a couple of other people that I happen to know, but if I were to tell you, I'd kill you.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. And it's just, I mean, obviously, these are people that we've seen before. And if you've come before, then you know what the experience is like. But I'm just like, just quick, every one of these people, I would sit and I would just watch endlessly. But there's some names that are in there that it's just one of those, I tell people, you have to go. How can you not go when you see these kinds of things?
Yeah.
So just kind of want to maybe.
August 5th. That's the important date to remember. Friday, August 5th is the end of that extra $100 savings that we call the early bird. You know what? We need to run over and look at a grip tip from our buddy Brad. Let's have a look.
Hey everybody, Brad Moore here with another Grip Tips. Today I'm going to be talking about this little background light stand. So when you're using a background light, like if I want to make this solid white for a picture, I don't necessarily need a big, huge stand because, you know, especially if it's right behind the subject, you don't want a stand that's coming up this high and then the light coming out of the back of their head because it, you know, we'll get in the picture. So I use one of these guys right here. This one is the Manfrotto 012B. That's this base and this extension pole, and it's right around $40. Now, another use for it is, you know, if you're shooting something that is down on the ground, like sometimes I know Jeremy Cowart will have his subjects lay on the ground sometime and use that as his background. Or if you're a pet shooter, you know, you've got a dog or a cat or hamster, whatever, you know, it's on the ground, you don't necessarily want it high up on a table. So you'll have this light that's closer to the ground. And the other cool thing is you can take the pole out, stick one of these little guys right here in, and get the light even closer to the ground. Just like this right here. You got the light right here close to the ground, and so you've got your pet. You can have a softbox on here, whatever you want. So that's just one of those you know, random stands that you don't really think about, but it actually comes in really useful. If you just want the base part, that's the Manfrotto 003, and it's around 20 bucks. So 20 bucks for this, 20 bucks for that. It's a good investment. All right, that's all I got for today. This is Brad Moore with another Grip Tips.
Name of the game is to fill the frame. You snooze, you lose. The camera looks both ways. See eye to eye. And my all-time favorite photo philosophy, raw rules. Yeah. Hey, I'm Rick Salmon, and I'm teaching a class here on Kelby Training. It's called Exploring Digital SLR Photography. Now, I have some good news and I have some bad news. The bad news is I've made every single mistake humanly possible when it comes to digital SLR photography. And the good news is all those mistakes have helped me to become a better photographer and I hope a better instructor. So if you sign up for my class, you're really going to be in for a wonderful digital photography learning experience.
So now let's go ahead and start talking about contest time, right? Because it's time. I need to be able to show you some websites that you need to be able to take a look at, and we need to talk about contest stuff.
Well, so you've got a photographer for us.
Yes, the man himself, Trey Radcliff. Now, if you followed anything in the world of HDR, you probably know that this is one of the grandmasters in this space when it comes to HDR. And Trey's kind of one of those people, good friend of mine. We have an absolute blast talking about it, and I absolutely adore his HDR stuff. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things that a lot of the times people don't understand that there's a lot of different flavors in which you can do HDR in.
Sure.
Right? So you have different people that are out there that can take the same image, the same field, and process in so many different ways. But Trey's kind of got that X factor. He can really take that HDR image and move it into the next level. So if you want to take a look at his stuff, the first place for you to be able to go is his website. Great website called stuckincustoms.com. You have to take a look at this stuff. And I'm just scrolling through here, and he's got some great work. There's Endeavor. All right, this is his shot that he did. I mean,
Beautiful.
he knows what he's doing. Take a look at this shot.
Wow.
He's just phenomenal work. So stuckincustoms.com, this is the guy. Like at the top of the mountain, he's one of those guys that you get up there.
And coming from the guy that wrote the book on HDR, you know.
I know, you know what? It's one of those things where I tell everybody, look, I have a book, I teach a specific thing, I deal with post-processing.
Right.
This is a guy who you really want to be able to take a look at. So we spend a lot of time talking about things other than HDR, like Chinese food or something like that. But phenomenal work. So to start, there's that. So there's Trey, the HDR guy. Then there's Trey, the 100 cameras in one guy.
Sure.
Right. He's got an app called 100 Cameras in One. So you can take a look at this stuff. And he also has an HDR video tutorial that you can purchase. So if you want to be able to process and shoot and do stuff in the styles of Trey Radcliff, that's where you can be able to go. When you pop in this information here, go to kel.by/Trey HDR. Now, obviously, you can do all of this stuff right
and
on
his name
website.
is spelled Trey.
Right. You can do all of this stuff right in stuckincustoms.com. So you can find his app, you can find the HDR class, you can find information. Phenomenal guy. Now, what we're going to do for a contest is I'm going to make a super Trey bundle. So all you really need to do is just go here and leave us a comment. Tell us that you stopped by the Stuck in Custom site. Say hi, Trey. Tell us something about our episode.
Sure.
Do whatever it is that you want. Let us know. Send us a
you
suggestion.
guys know the drill. Send us a comment on the D-Town website.
This is what we're going to do. We're going to give you a copy of Trey's book. All right. So Trey's got a book, A World in HDR. Phenomenal book. And we're going to give you a code for you to be able to get his 100 Cameras in One.
Oh, the software app.
Yeah. So if you have an iPad or an iPhone, you're going to get a free code, and you're going to get Trey's seminal book. Phenomenal work.
Very cool. You know, we ask you to send comments in each week. That's how you enter the contest. If you have questions or comments for RC or I, of course, we're both on Twitter. RC is at AboutRC on Twitter, and I'm at BeckerBiz on Twitter. And in fact, I even got a comment, and I just want to touch on this really quick. Jens Olav Berlin said, "What is the best way to get your photographs noticed in the sea of photographers here today?" You know what? That's a tough one, but I have 3 really quick tips. Pick a niche, like a style or a particular area of photography. So pick a niche. And then the second thing is be unique. Try and come up with something that is your signature style or something like that. And then be really damn good, because that's how you're going to get noticed. So pick a niche, be unique, be really good. That's a good start. And we're going to try and give you tips and tricks and hints on how to do that in the coming episodes of D-Town TV, and plus what we do at Kelby Training Online and all kinds of other places. Guys, send us tips on Twitter, or rather send us notes on Twitter, and sign up in the comments.
On Kelby TV.
And you might win the Trey bundle.
So anyway, thanks so much for stopping by, guys. We'll see you guys next week. I'm RC.
I'm Larry. See ya.
Take care.